Hello, everyone, and welcome to another ASUG Affiliate Webcast. My name is Anna McMorrow, Sales Engagement Coordinator here at ASUG Headquarters in Chicago. Today's webcast, Operational Business Insight and Predictive Analytics powered by SAP HANA, is brought to you by OpsVeda. Today's webcast is being recorded. That recording and the accompanying slides will be posted to the ASUG website, and all registrants will receive an email with a link to those materials. Our speakers today are Sanjeev Gupta, President and CEO of OpsVeda, and Vikas Rajput, Vice President of Customer Success at OpsVeda. I'd like to remind our audience members that you can submit questions at any time during the presentation by clicking the purple Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. And now I'd like to turn it over to Sanjeev.
Thank you so much, Anna. It's always a pleasure to brief the ASUG audience. Hello, my name is Sanjeev Gupta. I'm the founder and CEO of OpsVeda. We have a fantastic session planned for you, but before that, Vikas, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the exciting session today. My name is Vikas Rajput. I am the VP of Customer Success. Been in this industry for a long time. I hope you enjoy the session today. This is an exciting, innovative solution. Sanjeev, back to you.
Thank you, Vikas. So, I want to start this session by addressing the core topic, operational business insight and predictive analytics. So essentially, there are a few takeaways that I hope the audience gets from this session. One, OpsVeda is focused on operations users who support order fulfillment, who support procurement, who support manufacturing, who support logistics, who support plant maintenance, who support all the things that are required to be done in order to get the product into the store, into the hands of the consumer. These users make hundreds of decisions every day. So these are the end users of SAP, these are the end users of Oracle, any ERP system, any other supply chain system that they use. The end users of those systems are making hundreds of decisions every day in the context of customers, in the context of products, in the context of prioritizing what needs attention, which machines need repair, and hopefully, if the system is predictive and intelligent enough, it provides them early warning as to what needs attention. Can you get alerts about a machine that is about to break before it breaks, for example? There are lots of tools in the marketplace which claim similar visibility, but OpsVeda does something slightly different. OpsVeda also takes care of automated acquisition and analysis of data from your internal and external sources in real time. So hopefully we do have a few slides here, and then eventually I will get into a live demonstration of the solution. It's extremely exciting to show to business users how we make some of the intelligent visualization, intelligent drill downs available to users in a live format. When information is live, and it is based upon all of the transactions, all of the various things, all of the customers and products that you're trying to serve, we need to make sure that the information that is being served to the user is focused depending upon their roles. So we will show you simplified storyboards which provide this information in the form of exceptions, in the form of metrics, in the form of actions that they should be taking. OpsVeda provides this intelligence across a gamut of operational functions, as I said before. So whether it is about channel fulfillment, it's about sales and order fulfillment, it's about procurement, it's about logistics, it's about manufacturing or maintenance. One single system that provides storyboards to different roles. We do make some of these capabilities available with the help of our patented data model. The solution is natively built on SAP HANA, and hopefully with our unique data model and the SAP HANA in-memory database, we create operational business insight for you, operational business insight that is real time. So let's take a step back and talk about what exactly is OpsVeda then. As a software solution, we are a 6-year-old company. And we focus on one thing, which is to provide real-time operational intelligence and supply chain visibility to our customers. The solution continuously monitors the various transactions that are happening in your business. And based upon that continuous monitoring, we are providing sense and respond capability. As I said before, this capability needs to be focused on individual user groups. So this is delivered in the form of real-time storyboards for users so that they can improve response to various disruptions or opportunities that might present themselves in your execution. The solution also doubles up as an information hub, which is streaming data from various places. This information hub captures historical data, current data, future expectations of business in order to provide certain predict and prescribe outcomes for you. And hopefully, through the session, we will be able to go through each of these aspects. The solution is deployed in weeks. So when we talk about everything that we're going to show you today, we'll speak of significant capabilities. But the underlying fact to remember, most of our customers go live in 6 to 7 weeks. 6 to 7 weeks is when that is the time frame in which we make this capability available to our customers in a real-time basis. So what are some of the real-time storyboards that we present to our customers? These real-time storyboards are based upon various roles. So sales reps in your organization who want to have visibility into their customers, their ordering patterns, into transactions which might get canceled. So order cancellations, oversold transactions, undersold transactions, exceptions in the business that they are responsible for. Customer service storyboards, which is focused on order fulfillment. Sales operations storyboard, which is trying to integrate the needs of the order management team and the needs of the logistics and the supply chain team. Logistics storyboard, which are focused on 3PL exceptions, which are focused on various transactions which are in flight in the various distribution centers in the organization and so on. Sourcing, predictive impacts on production, predictive impacts on sales, delayed transactions by various stages and so on. Manufacturing, predictive impacts on manufacturing, predictive impacts because of procurement. What might be the impact on my manufacturing? If there is a lower yield, what is the corresponding impact on sales and so on? So essentially link process data across the supply chain and be able to provide intelligence to users who have a specific role in the organization. Plant maintenance, we have done significant work in the areas of plant maintenance and predictive maintenance, and we can talk about some of that. And also the same environment which provides intelligence to those users who make hundreds of decisions every day, the end users of business. The same system is also providing intelligence to management and senior executives with respect to where their business is. How is my revenue trending? What are the situations which could improve my revenue for the period? What are the sets of transactions which might impact certain customer and so on? So hopefully we can show you some of that as we go through the demonstration as well. Now, through these storyboards, the intent is to prevent leakage. Every business, every day, sees certain revenue and margin leakage because of delayed shipments, because of expedites that they need to do, because of certain customers that are not being served well, because of certain shortages, because of certain missed transactions and so on. So essentially, it's about preventing leakage. It is about reducing supply chain cost, and hopefully, it's also about bringing scale and efficiency to your business users. Some of our customers, large enterprise customers such as Roche Genentech, such as Western Digital SanDisk, such as Juniper Networks, such as Grace Kennedy, such as Global Brands Group, large enterprises have adopted OpsVeda. The only ingredient that is required in order to adopt OpsVeda is SAP HANA, and OpsVeda bundles SAP HANA as part of its solution. The customer does not need to be running on HANA. OpsVeda bundles HANA as part of the solution that we bring to market. So we are a 6-year-old company. The product itself is in its 7th release. The solution is offered in the form of a low-cost subscription. The solution is pre-integrated with SAP. So OpsVeda over the years has built adapters to stream live data from the back-end ERP system. So we have adapters, extractors for orders, for quotations, for inbound shipments, for outbound shipments, for billing documents, for purchase orders, for for goods receipts, for all kinds of goods movement across the enterprise, all kinds of inventory transactions, for production orders, process orders, for inspection lots, quality notifications, work orders, the entire transactional footprint. We have built extractors which, once imported into the customer's environment, is able to stream data in the form of business events. And through that business event model, we are able to provide live intelligence to our business users specific to different roles. The solution is offered on cloud. A number of our customers are also deployed on-premise, so cloud is not a requirement, but definitely our preferred model is to deploy this on cloud. The solution bundles SAP HANA, as I said. The in-memory database of SAP HANA brings significant capability, significant compute power, and all of the intelligence that I'm going to show you today is based upon the live data sets. The solution is also deployed in 6 to 7 weeks time frame, as I've said before. The solution is available on desktop and also on mobile. The mobile app is available on the Apple App Store and also on the Google App Store. It can be downloaded, and an audience can definitely experience OpsVeda without necessarily having to deploy it initially. With that, I would like to switch to giving you a live demo of the application. As Anna said in the beginning, please feel free to bring your questions. Please upload your questions as they come, and we would be happy to take questions towards the end of this session. So I hope you're able to see my screen now. Vikas, can you confirm that you're able to see my screen? The demonstration?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Excellent. So the solution that you are seeing here is deployed on cloud. It's currently running on AWS cloud. There are a few other cloud options that are available with OpsVeda, but definitely AWS is our preferred cloud option, cloud environment. It is running on cloud. It is sitting on top of the SAP HANA database, so that's our preferred database for the solution, and it is connected to a number of back-end ERP systems, SAP environment, non-SAP environment, certain other external data sources, spreadsheets, and so on. The solution has various modules. So there are a few other modules that are hidden, and my screen is slightly lopsided, slightly expanded because of the screen resolution. But essentially, we have order fulfillment. I will talk about through the lens of a customer service or an account service rep. What can OpsVeda do for them? Through the lens of a team manager, what kind of or a product allocator, what kind of allocation capabilities OpsVeda provides, what kind of oversight we can provide to managers. From a revenue management perspective, we will talk about how OpsVeda helps optimize revenue attainment for a specific period. We will talk about predictive capabilities of the solution as to how system predicts what is about to fail, what is about to be delayed. We will briefly spend some time on the sourcing module from a supplier collaboration perspective, from a predictive supply perspective, from an inbound delay. Can we track inbound shipments? How do we track inbound shipments? We will talk about what kind of intelligence we can provide to manufacturing. What does it mean to be able to know what production is at risk? We will briefly talk about logistics. We will also talk about certain things, certain predictive capabilities that we have on maintenance from a plant maintenance perspective. We'll also spend a little bit time on inventory. How does OpsVeda create intelligence from an inventory perspective? That's a lot of ground to cover in a small amount of time. So I will spend significant time in some areas where we will also take the opportunity to highlight certain platform features. So let's talk from the perspective of a customer service rep. Before I get my first cup of coffee, as soon as I come to work, I see various process exceptions that I am responsible for, that all kinds of things that do impact business, whether it is in the form of delivery blocks or credit holds or certain mismatches with respect to start dates in my warehouse versus the start dates in my ERP system, cancellation aspects, incomplete transactions, incorrect transactions, pricing issues, label mismatch where the labels on the required from the customer service requirement perspective versus the labels that are there in my warehouse are different, certification problem, wrong ship tools, and so on. So various exceptions that impact my business. Typically, depending upon my role, I would only see see transactions that I am responsible for. I'm in customer service. I'm responsible for a specific set of customers. I would only see those. I might be, before I get my first cup of coffee, I don't care to look at everything. I only care to look at transactions that are relevant from a near-time perspective. So if I'm looking at some of those transactions, I can drill down into those exceptions. As I drill down into those exceptions, it tells me all of the transactions that are impacted by a specific scenario or by a specific exception. So these could impact my business. So I would like to analyze that. Now, what you see here, the various attributes that you see here are coming from the connected systems. They could be from the SAP environment. They could be from a non-SAP environment. They could be from a supply chain environment. They could be from warehouse. If the warehouse is running a different WMS system, it could be coming from that. Depending upon the exception that I have clicked, the corresponding details are visible to me. As I said before, the information here is supposed to be latent less than 60 seconds. So 60 seconds is not average, 60 seconds is maxima. Typically, the information here is supposed to be as of last 10 seconds that anything happened in my connected environments, so real time. Whenever I see any grid information, I can, of course, download that into an Excel spreadsheet at the click of a button. Although we do, the idea here is to move the business users from the need of Excel spreadsheets for everyday work. I can drill down into that. I can take a look at details of any of these transactions if I wanted to. I can take a look at my demand that we have here. If I want to look at everything that is being demanded on that particular purchase order, customer PO, what are the various purchase orders, the corresponding sales orders, various line items in that sales order. And by the way, green tells me that the available to ship for that particular product is positive. Red tells me that I have shortage of certain products. So without going into my back end, my system, the data model within OpsVeda has already figured out what kind of potential shortages I might have against a specific transaction. So something interesting as I'm trying to evaluate an exception against a transaction. Certain other things to focus on as I'm looking at a specific transaction is also to see everything that has happened to that transaction from the time it got created. So I'm looking at from an information hub perspective, what kind of a transaction is it? What are the quantities and amounts that are relevant? What are the activities that have happened against this transaction? What were the planned dates and what were the actual dates against those? How long certain exceptions have been open and what are the various attributes that are relevant to this transaction? So as you can see here, a lot of these fields could be information that is coming from SAP, could be information that is coming from the supply chain, from my partner, and so on. Now, imagine having a similar map against every transaction that my business is working with. Now, imagine there are millions of those transactions depending upon the size of the company, right? Sales order lines, purchase order lines, and the manufacturing lines, and so on. If I have those millions of transactions, then what the system is I have a map of everything that happened against each of those transactions. The storyboards that OpsVeda provides to you is trying to address, filter it out in a form in which a business user knows what needs his or her attention as soon as he comes to work. It takes care of exceptions and then gets a cup of coffee and then starts looking at the kinds of things that he or she is responsible for after the fact. After something that is not immediate attention requirement. So I can look at overlapping transactions, oversold transactions, oversold being transactions where I do not have confirmation because there is a constrained supply. I can take a look at incomplete transactions, exceptions in delivery. I do have certain filters on here, therefore the data is so if I look at the entire data set or a slightly larger data set, I can take a look at what kind of delivery exceptions are impacting my business, what kind of incomplete transactions do I have in this, and so on. Okay, I can drill down, just like I showed earlier, I can drill down into each of these. So think about OpsVeda being a pre-configured storyboard depending upon what role the specific user has. Now, moving along to what the user's manager would see, or what if I'm responsible for from a product allocation perspective, what do I see? I am taking a look at my entire book of business. In this case, I'm only responsible for a small footprint of business. My in-pick, I have got about $65 million worth of transactions which are currently in pick. I've got certain transactions which are allocated but not yet dropped into my warehouse. I have in-transit transactions, work in process, late, and then I've got a set of transactions which are a demand that is not covered, or which is late, or which is work in process, or it is in transit. As you can imagine, this visibility is not a view of all orders in my system. This visibility is a compound view of all demand across my supply chain, all supply across my supply chain, supply meaning all purchase orders or production orders and so on, all inventory across the various distribution centers, all in-transit transactions and so on. So I have that view. Let me filter this. Let's say I only want to take a look at a small set of customers that I want to analyze this for. I can drill down into a smaller footprint of customers, and that changes the storyboard. Here, I can also see the dollar impact of certain exceptions, right? So I have got certain transactions, $430,000 worth of transactions are under pricing mismatch, and therefore they cannot ship and so on. If I wanted to, I can drill down from here across the various brands that this business is for. So if I wanted to zoom into only Calvin Klein and Coach business, I can see the corresponding impact of this from that perspective. And then from here, if I wanted to see all of the business which is not covered, I could drill down into those transactions, and system gives me details of all of those which is not covered. So essentially, all of the information available live in the OpsVeda Information Hub, pre-configured storyboards which have pre-analyzed this information as soon as that information came in, so that as a user, when I click on a link, it tells me information that needs my attention without me having to run report. So the only way to create real-time analytics or real-time intelligence is to not have to run a report, because if you run a report, it's late. So the reports are pre-configured for business users. Now, few other things from an oversight perspective. After having taken a look at allocation and exception issues, I might jump into what's happening in my warehouse, what kind of transactions are passed, canceled by warehouse, and therefore they won't ship. One of our customers came and said, I would like to see all high priority containers, and I want to know which are the high priority containers, because there are certain ports which are gridlocked. There are hundreds of inbound containers coming into that port, but today I can only release 2 of those containers. Which 2 containers do I prioritize? So OpsVeda has pre-configured that information over here, where I can drill down. Given a high priority container, the system tells me what's contained inside that inbound shipment. It tells me which customer POs are impacted. It tells me what is the quantity and what are the various pieces that are involved, what is the individual sales order value, and what's the total impact of that container. So if I was prioritizing based upon revenue target for the month, or if I was prioritizing based upon certain high priority shipments or a start of a season, and I need to make sure that certain products show up in a specific place, I can leverage container prioritization in order to get to that level of intelligence. The same information that gives intelligence to an end user to get his or her job done more effectively, the same information which helps a product allocator or a manager to provide some oversight and prioritization, also doubles up as the information which can help someone, the controller or the executive who wants to manage the attainment of revenue for the period. So here we are seeing the in real time system painting a picture of what are the high potential revenue for this particular period. Quantities in pick in the warehouse, most likely they will ship, and therefore I can definitely look at that revenue for the period. Transactions that are directly shipping from the various vendors, confirmed transactions which are on hand, they are potential because I have inventory and they are confirmed for the month. So of course I'm going to ship it. And then as I go to the right, transactions that are at risk, then I have a significant amount, more than $2.2 million still in production, corresponding transactions are confirmed, I may not be able to ship it unless I expedite that production and so on. So being able to have that information, to be able to drill down into that information, to be able to find the corresponding plant manager who needs to expedite a particular order and so on, I think that gives a different spin on intelligence. The intelligence that can help improve, help me mitigate certain leakages that typically happens every month in every business. Certain shipments need to be either expedited or they couldn't make their cutoff date and so on. Visibility like this can help a customer. When we look at confirmed on hand, for example, why is the inventory being on hand, transaction being confirmed, customer wants it, how come we have not shipped it yet? System knows automatically in this pre-configured storyboard, it knows a portion of that transaction is under credit hold, a portion of it is incomplete, portion of it is past cancel, and a good portion of it is oversold. As in, while the order is confirmed, there is a higher priority customer demand that needs to be given that allocation, and therefore we need to deallocate, reallocate, and so on. So that kind of intelligence is available. As I said, I could look at this either by way of various organizations, customers, warehouses, brand names, or I can also filter this based upon profit centers, my favorite profit centers or my not so favorite profit centers, who are always impacting my book of business. Now, similarly, the same information can provide intelligence in real time about how am I doing across sales organizations, across customers, across distribution centers, and so on. It is interesting. Everybody has reports around what is the value of business by customer, but it is much more interesting to know that $4.9 million of Macy's business is at risk in this particular period. So if I could drill down into those transactions, I can possibly take some action. So that was one view of what we do for an end user, for a manager, from a revenue perspective. Let's switch gears to predictive fulfillment. So the same amount of, as data is streaming into OpsVeda, the historical data models, based upon the historical data models, we are able to capture what is at risk. If I wanted to see transactions at high risk, fulfillment high risk, it is going to tell me additional information about those transactions and what kind of purchase orders are missing, and then it will show me what is that supply that I need to take care of. Right. So based upon the data model, system is capturing what needs attention and so on. Okay. So again, you see details of what you might see by way of 20 different reports in SAP. That same raw data modeled in a unique manner inside OpsVeda is able to provide certain intelligence. Let's talk about supply. So supply, typically most organizations, and I'm sure a lot of folks in the audience, you have a global organizations, you have suppliers all over the map, a lot of suppliers in China, in other locations, a lot of manufacturing locations. If I am capturing with now the stages of procurement or stages of manufacturing at your supplier could be different depending upon what industry you are from. But the various stages can be mapped into OpsVeda rather rapidly based upon the data that we are streaming in. We can drill down from the existing purchase order delays into which vendors are impacting me and what stage some of those are. So if I'm looking at Victory and I'm still waiting on PO approval from this particular vendor, I can get a detail of those transactions. And similarly, over time, I can also build metrics around how some of these, how my supply chain is working, how certain vendors are working, and so on. So I'm only focusing on a few areas over here, but over time we model these metrics, and these metrics can be trended, and we can have different visualization as to what is the status right at this moment for this particular period, or what's the trend against certain metrics and so on. Inbound delay is interesting. So global organization, goods are moving across various locations. If I wanted to see we integrate 214s and 315s coming from your carriers, either by way of EDI or through web services. As we integrate that data, the system is able to determine what kind of delays do we have by mode of transport at various ports, what kind of delays we have. If I wanted to take a look at delays by location, in Los Angeles, what kind of delays do I have, and it tells me which purchase orders are delayed, what is the corresponding reason, what's the error code that the 214 or the 315 that came from the carrier, and so on. So I can take a look at details of those corresponding purchase orders and so on. Moving along, manufacturing. So from a manufacturing perspective, once again, OpsVeda has extractors to stream all manufacturing data, process orders, inspection lots, quality notifications, all goods movement. So if I wanted to look at overdue transactions across my supply chain, I can take a look at that. If I wanted to take a look at specific process orders, this is an example of a customer whose production process goes through multiple operations. And if it goes through multiple operations, there are certain things that we can update right here in OpsVeda and talk about how certain dates have to be changed and so on. Or I can drill down from here and see the batch genealogy of the various lots that are being manufactured through the operations, through the various operations. So here it is very interesting if I am able to see what batches went into the next set of batches and which went into the next set of batches, either top down or bottom up. It's also interesting to see, in this case, maybe there is some red. So if there is a particular batch which has got an error, the batch was not disposed correctly, that information automatically shows up here. The various visualizations that I am showing you today, these are attained without making a back call into SAP. So the connected systems are pushing data into OpsVeda. The OpsVeda's unique data model is connecting data corresponding to manufacturing, corresponding to procurement, corresponding to logistics, corresponding to demand and order fulfillment and so on. And it is linking these transactions in such a way that we can paint the picture from a global batch traceability or lot genealogy or product track and trace perspective. We can paint the picture from a revenue management perspective. We can paint the picture from a shortage perspective. Shipping, logistics is interesting. Here we are looking at all kinds of exceptions that are impacting our business, right? So operational business insight from the perspective of shipping and logistics. What kind of exceptions are impacting my book of business? If I wanted to take a look at routing by stage, routing by deliveries and so on, I can jump into those. I can also take a look at month to date for a specific distribution center. What was the volume that was expected based upon the book of business? Let's say I want to focus on one business unit. So for Armstrong business unit, I expected the $130 million worth of transaction for the month. $96 million worth of transaction is still supposed to come in the DC. We already have $34 million and so on, which means this information, proactive information, can allow the distribution center to plan their contingent labor effectively. So some of this information is automatically captured right here. Okay, so expected volume for current month, next month, and so on and so forth. Inventory is important. So just like we are capturing all transactions streaming live into OpsVeda in the form of business events, all goods movements are also being captured. A lot of companies have intelligence around what inventory exists where, what is the age of that inventory. So of course, if you recognize the age of that inventory, and if you say that this inventory is not going to be saleable, I have some of these views not very pretty, so let's change them a little bit. So if I wanted to have a view of inventory by various considerations, let's say I only want to see CK inventory. I have some portion of that inventory which is 150 days late in my demo system. A lot of aging inventory here. We need to clean this up. So I have this inventory by age. I can have different views of this inventory, but it is much more interesting to know of the Calvin Klein business what portion of that inventory got created in the first place because of order cancellations after the fact, because of customer returns, because of seasonal demand that never came, because of poor forecast, or because of late arrival. It was a valid demand by customer, but the goods arrived late, and by that time the order was gone. Right? So some industries have that challenge. In apparel, footwear, or food and beverage, or CPG industry, you get demand, you have to ship it within a window. If you don't ship it within that window, then that order goes away. Maybe it is replaced with a new order for the next period. So the way we are capturing all events that happen to various transactions, we are able to paint the picture around what portion of this unwanted inventory got created because of certain poor planning, or was it because of poor execution, or was it because of certain delays, or was it because of certain other reasons. So out of the box, depending upon the historical capture of all kinds of inventory transactions, OpsVeda is able to paint a picture which helps businesses control their inventory buildup. There is another perspective on inventory, which is if I wanted to analyze let's say if I wanted to analyze the inventory perspective for a specific material. Now, because we have all of the historical movements in our system, we know what was the on-hand inventory for a specific product set, what was the open POs. As you can see, when the open POs get received, as they go down, on-hand inventory goes up. So therefore, what was the total supply for this particular product set? What was the original demand against this particular product set? What was the actual demand net of rejections? And what's the open sales order? This tells me the original demand being bulk orders or contracts versus our forecast versus the actual sales orders. So we are able to do this analysis without going into the back-end SAP system. Some of you who have spent a lot of time in the ERP data models implementing systems would realize that a lot of this is 10 different reports which users run. Each of those reports some might take 5 minutes, some might take a couple hours. Each of those reports, by the time those reports are run and the user takes it into a spreadsheet, it is a few hours after the fact, which means that data is not live, that's not current, that's not correct. And then user has to do a lot of pivot tables in Excel spreadsheets. The way OpsVeda is doing all of this in non-aggregated data, all of this analysis. So we are able to, in real time, with the power of HANA and the OpsVeda data model, we are able to do all of this analysis in real time without necessarily having to go into the back-end ERP systems and so on. Let's talk a little bit about plant maintenance, because here there is a view of a variety of things that business users like to measure. So if I wanted to, wow, that's a lot of equipment, so maybe I should have a few filters. So if I wanted to look at all of my PMO1 transactions across various locations by cost, which area is costing me how much, if I wanted to look at it by functional locations and so on, we have an ability to drill down into that information. I wanted to capture health metrics across various functions within my work order process. I can capture various metrics and see if we have certain thresholds. System automatically tells me which locations are within the green thresholds versus which of these need attention. So it looks like manufacturing seems to have too much reactive, not proactive, but reactive work which is going on, and that's not a good thing, and so on. We also have if we had modeled multivariate view of various metrics across different functions within the plant, we are able to capture some of these things. Now, portion of this is based upon historical data and some predictive modeling that we do, and a good portion of it is also based upon live information, which is supposed to be as and when people have to make certain decisions based upon this. One last thing to mention, which is the OpsVeda platform is not just limited to let's say it's not limited to just the pre-configured storyboards that we create for our business users. the users are able to configure their own storyboards based upon data that we are streaming into OpsVeda. They can create their own view of the data. They can create their own view of the charts. They can define different kinds of charts, and they can filter this data across a gamut of attributes. So the data sets underneath is the superset of all of the connected universe. So it is the superset of all procurement attributes, sales attributes, manufacturing attributes, any WMS systems, any supply chain data coming from the supply chain. So all of the attributes, order numbers, sold to, order types, and so on and so forth. So some of you long-term SAP folks would identify these as classic SAP fields. So all of those are available in the form of attributes or also in the form of activities. So it's not just about filtering based upon certain attributes. It's also based upon filtering around what date certain changes happen, what date certain shipments happen, what date certain shipments is supposed to go out, and so on and so forth. Okay. One more thing to mention, which is the same information hub. We can also search for information. So if I wanted to search against a specific customer or specific product or specific set of transactions, I should be able to search that right here, and it should show me all of the transactions that are impacted, and I should be able to drill down. Now I chose Walmart, which has got too many of these transactions. Let's say we go with so it should show me all transactions which are impacted by that particular which came in under my selection option. That's too many pages. I should be careful about what I search. I can go from here into details of an individual transaction. So once again, summarizing, what you really saw is a unique way in which we are streaming information from the various connected backend systems. Each of those millions of transactions, by way of whether they are sales or purchase or procurement or manufacturing, whatsoever, they are streaming into OpsVeda. System is understanding what each of these means, connecting them in a process chain, and then depending upon the role of the user, he or she is able to see what needs attention. Okay. With that, Vikas, in the interest of time, I would like to switch this back to you.
I have seen this demo, I would say, several times, and every time I think I learn something new, and there is something new inside that I get out of it. I hope everyone in this session also found this to be very informative and inspiring. Let me actually summarize a little bit, and then I'll walk you through on how we do the deployment. So as you saw, Sanjeev demonstrated many functionalities across the board, across the supply chain. OpsVeda is addressing the long allocation runtimes with real-time allocation process. It is helping you identify and optimize situations, whether they are in your customer-driven fill rates that often result in penalties or lost sales. We help address situations arising with inventory buildup that often is a result of efforts to meet those customer fill rate requirements and preventing out-of-stock situations. So let me actually share how at OpsVeda we follow an approach that is at least 5 times faster and hence 5 times less expensive than the traditional deployments. In week 1 to 2, we stand up the environment, including setting up the OpsVeda on the cloud or on premise. We establish the connection with your existing SAP and or non-SAP systems. It could be systems such as WMS. It could be non-SAP like Red Prairie or Manhattan, or your carriers or your EDIs. So getting the feeds from there. In week 2 and 3, we enable out-of-the-box storyboards, which are specific to your scope and roles. Ensure that all relevant in-scope activities, processes, attributes are mapped and are streaming into the OpsVeda development and the quality system. In week 4 and 5, OpsVeda solution experts study the data And as you know, the data tells the story, and this is what makes us different from traditional approaches. We confirm and validate the story and refine along with you as necessary. Week 4 and 5, we work with your business analyst or super user to play back and refine the storyboards further. In week 6, you're live. OpsVeda is available for productive use and is streaming actionable intelligence. So your frontline operation team is taking day-to-day decisions, and management is getting visibility into the performance, monthly sales potentials, or address significant issues. Some of these exceptions and examples that Sanjeev shared with us. Issues that require tactical or even strategic decision making at the executive level. So all this happens with minimal involvement and resources from your business or IT teams. Having been a long-term SAP deployment guy myself, I can tell you it is not easy for traditional IT teams to fathom or imagine that a powerful solution like OpsVeda can be deployed in such a short time. For those interested, we could actually talk again at a later date or at the end of the session. Some of the examples that Sanjeev already mentioned, in this year alone, we have had almost three customers who have gone live and achieved 5 to 7 weeks of deployment. Some of these customers, as you can see, include our marquee customers such as Genentech, where we implemented track and trace, maintenance, quality compliance, compliance to SLAs, managing discrepancies throughout the entire procurement and the manufacturing process. The second one is Global Brand Group, which is a $3.5 billion company. It's a part of Li & Fung Limited, as some of you may already know. GBG was facing challenge in the customer service, managing allocations, and several aspects that we primarily see, or you saw in the solution demo today. Our project sponsor, in fact, stated that OpsVeda has helped them achieve up to 40% of user productivity improvement. The third example here is the recent one. It's a food and beverage company called Grace & Kennedy. They actually started this project on September 6th and went live over this weekend. So a quick 6-week deployment. Another interesting implementation was with Juniper Networks earlier this year, where Juniper had signed up 5 weeks before actually going live with SAP. A project, as you know, that they have been working for over years after having gone through multiple cycles of integration testing, cutover planning for SAP implementation. So instead of going live at the same time with SAP, we recommended that we turn on OpsVeda a week after SAP go live. So this helped them not only validate and confirm successful SAP deployment, but also identify additional gaps in the supply chain master data, transactions, and so on. So in the last few, ASUG chapter meetings, or even from the Sapphire or ASUG in Orlando earlier this year, one thing was loud and clear that SAP is transitioning towards HANA, and in particular S4HANA. Unfortunately, the strategy shift from native or BI HANA to S4HANA has created confusion in terms of the message, a message that has led many customers to adopt a wait-and-watch approach for a few years. With OpsVeda, with some of the ready solutions and the results, outcomes that we have been able to demonstrate, you don't necessarily have to wait. If you have your own HANA, we can help leverage that with rapid deployment using OpsVeda. Or if you don't have HANA license, we bundle it, as Sanjeev had mentioned. So in the closing, to conclude, we would encourage you to think about the challenges your team faces today. Do you know why you have excess or inventory shortage problem? How you can predict or prevent the situation in future using proactive alerts? Are you losing sales or margins due to leakages caused by out of stock, difficulty in managing SLAs, or meeting customer compliance needs? How can you maximize maybe the monthly potential for the revenue by chasing some of the opportunities that have higher potential versus those which are too risky and not necessarily able to achieve it? Is it taking long time for your BI team to give you reports that you need? Or has your business team resigned to dealing with multitude of extracts and Excels? And that is something common I've seen. After the implementations, specifically, many of the reports are not ready. So users do end up building their own extracts and Excels. Are you always being reactive or expediting or working to negotiate reduction in penalties? Whatever your pain point or opportunity may be to improve, we are here to talk to you today and offline after the session. If you are an executive and responsible for driving the growth and direction of the company, you can leverage leading measures, KPIs, and analysis that OpsVeda delivers. It can help improve your business in terms of growth and achieve improved outcomes. Sanjeev did mention about some of the quick wins and some of the 3 other customers that we talked about. They have been able to achieve success in 4 to 6 weeks. And I do see a bunch of questions here. I'm not sure if we can address all of them in the 5 minutes that we are left with. But let me start with the latest one that just came in. That's from Jay Boonsevi from Walmart. Do you have metrics for IT operations?
We have metrics for all kinds of operations, but not necessarily IT operations per se has not been the focus of OpsVeda. Ops stands for operations. It's more about enterprise operations, business operations, revenue operations, procurement and fulfillment and so on. But having said that, the only way for us to achieve 5 to 6 week deployment is one, to take care of data streaming live in the first 3 weeks and then rapidly configuring all of the storyboards that we showed you. All customer storyboards look very different, but these storyboards can be configured in a matter of hours and days. So if a customer has very specific sets of IT operation metric that they would like to see, then we can enable that extremely rapidly.
So next question is from Abhi Singh. Actually, he does have a few questions. I'll see if I can combine some of those. The last question was, what's your deployment and licensing model?
So this is offered in a software as a service model, SaaS model. So low cost subscription fee. As far as deployment is concerned, it is typically deployed in 4 to 6 to 7 weeks time frame. And it is really a low-cost deployment because deployment happens extremely fast. So subscription and the prices differ based upon whether the customer has already got the HANA Enterprise or we have to provision the HANA Enterprise. It also depends whether it is cloud or on-premise. Typical fees or sizing depends upon number of users and number of monitored transactions.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Actually, 2 more questions from Abhi. One is this solution also available for non-SAP ERP customers? And second question, it seems you are capturing snapshots to track open order history. Is that correct?
So first, is it available to non-SAP? Yes, absolutely. It is available to non-SAP as well. We have integrated with all kinds of non-SAP systems, all kinds of warehouse systems, all kinds of plant maintenance systems. So the short answer is yes. As far as capturing snapshots, no, we are not capturing snapshots. We are capturing every single heartbeat. I repeat, every single heartbeat in the form of business events across not just orders, across all things SAP transactions in an extremely lightweight manner. So while a customer which runs, $5 billion business, if we decided to, figure out, put that on HANA, the sizing might come to I need 2 terabytes of HANA. Guess what? The way we capture this data I might get it done with 3 units of HANA, for example, while still capturing every single heartbeat across the transaction processing system. It's not data replication, but it's capturing the heartbeat. Vikas, next question.
Another question, do you have a separate data model or use HANA views on top of replicated ECC tables to populate the storyboards?
We have a separate data model, and I think that's the secret sauce of OpsVeda. Every company, so this goes to the genesis of the company. Every organization, I'm sure everyone on this call has got a sales ops team, has a procurement team, has a manufacturing ops team, has a logistics team. Every ERP system out there has got a sales order, purchase order, production order, delivery order, and so on. Our realization was all of these transactions have a similar structure. What, when, where, and how much. What kind of a transaction is it? What are the attributes? What are the location codes? Where? What are the planned and actual activities? And what are the quantities, values, and numbers? Much. How much? So we created a process agnostic data store. So data streaming from all of the heartbeats is coming into this unique process agnostic patented data model, and that model is what enables us to create visibility into what kind of manufacturing impact, how is manufacturing impacting sales, and how is sales impacting procurement, and so on and so forth, on a real-time basis without having to run reports. So it's a different data model. It's not the HANA Live data model, but definitely we can work alongside HANA Live and other BW investments that our customers have made. But the core transactional information will exist in a slightly different data format called process agnostic data store.
One quick last question. This is if I have data from various other sources such as market share or competitive product data that I want to analyze, how easy would it be to achieve that using OpsVeda?
Well, that's a good question. Recently, we released what is called as OpsVeda Canvas. So historically, we have our own unique data model, which means we can provide, while rapidly we can provide storyboards that are pre-configured. But with Canvas, a customer can extend the data model themselves. They can create their own storyboards. They can create their own charts. They can create their own visualization. And and powered by Canvas, they can actually bring their own data sources as well. So if you have got market share, competitive data that you want to overlay with transactional data, the business user should be able to do that with the help of OpsVeda Canvas.
Well, this will be a quick one. Can you please confirm what storyboards are out of the box?
Well, out of the box, we have got channel, sales, retail fulfillment, the on-shelf availability. That's one storyboard. Order fulfillment storyboard, revenue management storyboards, procurement storyboards, manufacturing storyboards, plant maintenance storyboard, quality storyboard. So it's actually, there is no dearth of the storyboards, and storyboards can be further extended by business users. As you may have seen underneath each storyboard, there were multiple pages of various kinds of charts and dashboards, etc. So there is a lot of solution content that is available. Depending upon the industry, depending upon process area focus, those storyboards can be tailored. But we do have support for multiple industries across multiple processes.
Thank you, Sanjeev. With that, back to you, Anna.
Great. Thank you, Sanjeev and Vikas, for a great webcast. On behalf of ASUG, I'd like to thank OpsVeda, as well as all of you who took the time out today to attend this webcast. Once again, the recording and slides from today's program will be posted to the ASUG website, and all registrants will receive an email with a link to those materials. And with that, I would like to close today's webcast. Have a great rest of your day.